A young woman watches a man across a fire. He has never asked her on a date. There are no restaurants, no messages, no photographs, no carefully written profiles explaining who he is. Yet she already knows things about him that would be impossible to hide. She knows whether he shares food when hunting is poor. She knows how he behaves when someone is injured. She knows whether he keeps his promises. She knows how others speak about him when he is not there. In a world where people spend nearly every day together, secrets do not survive very long. And somewhere around fires like this, choices were being made. Choices that would shape families, communities, and generations yet to be born. How did ancient humans choose a partner? At first, the answer seems obvious: attraction. The same thing people use today. But the deeper we look, the stranger the question becomes. Because ancient humans were solving a problem very different from our own. Imagine that you could only choose from 30 or 40 people. Not 30 or 40 million. 30 or 40. No dating apps, no cities, no strangers arriving every day. Just the people you have known for most of your life. Take a moment and picture that world. Every friendship, every argument, every embarrassment, every success. Everyone remembers all of it. Suddenly, choosing a partner becomes a very different challenge. And that challenge shaped the human mind for hundreds of thousands of years. Many people assume ancient relationships were simple. A man found a woman found a man. They stayed together. The end. Reality appears to have been far more complicated. One reason is that human children are unusually expensive. A newborn foal can stand within hours. A newborn human cannot even hold up its own head. For years, human children require food, protection, teaching, and constant attention. Anthropologists sometimes describe humans as cooperative breeders. Raising a child was rarely the work of one individual. Parents helped, grandparents helped, relatives helped. The wider group often helped. That changes the meaning of partner choice. Attraction still matters, but survival matters too. A beautiful face cannot gather food during a famine. Charm cannot protect a child from danger. For much of human history, choosing a partner was not simply choosing a person. It was choosing a teammate. Which raises another question. What exactly were people looking for? Health mattered, strength mattered, generosity mattered, reliability mattered, and perhaps most importantly, reputation mattered. Today, a person can reinvent themselves, move to a new city, create a new profile, curate a new identity. Ancient humans had far fewer opportunities. In a small group, everyone already knew who you were. If you were lazy, people knew. If you were selfish, people knew. If you took more than you gave, people knew. A reputation was difficult to manufacture because it was constantly being tested by daily life. But what about love? Surely love is a modern luxury, something that appeared after people no longer had to worry about predators and survival. For a long time, many people assumed exactly that. Then scientists started looking at an unlikely animal, the prairie vole. Most mammals mate and move on. Prairie voles often do something unusual. A male and female form long-term pair bonds. They share nests, travel together, and often remain together for life. Researchers eventually discovered that chemicals involved in attachment play a major role in maintaining those bonds. The same biological systems are deeply involved in human attachment. Suddenly, love begins to look different. Less like a cultural invention, more like ancient machinery. A mechanism powerful enough to keep two individuals returning to one another long after attraction alone would have faded. That idea sounds almost unromantic. Yet perhaps that is exactly what makes it remarkable. An emotion capable of inspiring songs, poetry, and heartbreak may have originated as a solution to a practical problem. How do you keep two distracted primates working together long enough to raise a child? Give them a reason to care about one another. Yet human relationships become even stranger when we ask another question. Are humans naturally monogamous? At first glance, the answer appears obvious. Most people form pair bonds. Many cultures encourage long-term partnerships. Fathers often invest heavily in children. Case closed. Except it isn't. Because when biologists compare humans to other mammals, the evidence becomes surprisingly mixed. Humans are far more monogamous than gorillas, far less monogamous than species that form lifelong pair bonds. Again and again, humans seem to land somewhere in the middle. It is almost as if evolution never fully committed to a single strategy. Anthropologists studying traditional societies have found enormous variation in how relationships are organized. Different cultures develop different solutions to the same challenge. There is no single human model, only recurring patterns. Perhaps flexibility itself became the strategy. Yet regardless of how relationships were structured, one factor appears again and again: reputation. And this may be the most surprising part of the entire story. Modern people often assume ancient humans had very little information when choosing a partner. The opposite may be closer to the truth. A hunter-gatherer living among 30 or 40 people could spend years observing someone before making a choice. They saw how that person behaved when food was scarce, when they were frightened, when they were angry, when they were successful, when nobody was watching. A reputation was not built from words, it was built from evidence, years of evidence. In some ways, ancient humans may have known more about their future partners than many people do today. Not because they were wiser, because they spent far more time watching who people actually were. Which brings us to another mystery: jealousy. Nobody enjoys talking about it. Yet it appears with remarkable consistency across cultures. Why? Because choosing a partner was only half the challenge. Keeping a partnership stable was another challenge entirely. A relationship represented time, effort, trust, resources, and future children. Losing it could be costly. What feels unpleasant today may have begun as a system designed to protect something valuable. Not always wisely, not always fairly, but predictably. And that brings us back to the original question. What made one person worth choosing over another? At first glance, the answer seems obvious: attractiveness. Yet the deeper we look into human history, the more incomplete that answer becomes. A good partner was not merely someone attractive. A good partner was someone you could survive with, someone who shared, someone who cooperated, someone whose behavior remained reliable when circumstances became difficult. Which brings us back to the young woman sitting beside the fire. She is not looking at a stranger, she is looking at someone whose choices she has watched for years. She knows how he behaves when food is scarce. She knows whether children trust him. She knows whether others rely on him. She knows things no photograph could ever reveal. And perhaps that is the strangest part of all. When modern people imagine ancient relationships, they often assume they were primitive. Yet in at least one respect, ancient humans may have had an advantage. Before choosing a partner, they often had years of evidence. Years of watching someone become exactly who they were. Long before dating apps, long before profiles, long before algorithms tried to predict compatibility, human beings were already asking the same question they ask today. Not simply, do I like this person? But, can I build a life with them?